Yo, what's good everyone? Happy Friday. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving and got some good plans here for this weekend. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 12 NFL DraftKings main slate. And like I always do, I'm going to go position by position, talking about each play that sticks out to me. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. And we have ourselves another slate here that's not really projecting to be a very high-scoring slate. And that's really kind of been the case all year long, especially as the season has progressed. Now, we do have a few games there that have some high-scoring upside for sure, but for the most part, projecting to be a low-scoring slate. Now, if you look behind me there, I got the highest implied team totals. And again, you can always use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite cash game plays. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here. And the first guy I got there is Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. You all know where he plays. Now, he's going to be down three of his wide receivers this week in Juju, Mecole Hardman, and Kadarius Toney. All three of those guys are out. And that obviously impacts this Chiefs offense as a whole. But I think Mahomes is still a great play personally. The Chiefs throw the ball at a 64% rate, the fourth highest in the NFL, so there's going to be no lack of volume for him, and he's got a great matchup here against the Los Angeles Rams, who have not been very good against the pass this year, ranking 26th overall in pass DVOA. Now, Mahomes himself has 24 plus DraftKings points in all but 2 games this year, and he's been on a tear as of late, racking up 30 plus DraftKings points in his last 4 games. Now, if I want to save some money at the quarterback position, I like Geno Smith, and honestly, I don't mind Tua at all either. They have a great matchup at home against the Houston Texans. I think I just prefer the running game a little bit more with Jeff Wilson. This could be one of those games where Miami gets out to such a big lead in the first half. They just run the ball out in the second half, but I by all means think Tua is viable. But Geno Smith here at $6,000 saves you $2,200 off of Patrick Mahomes. He's got a fantastic matchup at home this week against the Las Vegas Raiders, who rank dead last in pass DVOA this year, and we only need 18 DraftKings points out of Geno at this price here, $6,000, in order to meet 3x value, and he's hit 17 plus DraftKings points in 7 of 10 games this year. No reason to think he can't do that this week against that Raiders secondary. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and there is a lot of value at the running back position this week, and even Kenneth Walker's kind of priced up here at $6,900. I almost put Latavius Murray on the spreadsheet here at $5,000, but ultimately put him as an honorable mention. But you could realistically roll out Wilson, White, and Murray together and just save a bunch of money at the running back position. But I do like the position that Walker is in at home here against this Raiders team as well, who haven't been very good at stopping the run either, ranking 22nd overall in rush DVOA. And we're seeing Walker involved in all aspects of this offense, getting heavy volume in the running game and also involved in the passing game too. Now, I just name dropped him, but Jeff Wilson of the Miami Dolphins is sitting at a really nice price here, $5,900, especially considering that Raheem Mostert, their other running back, is considered doubtful here this Sunday, and they just have a beautiful matchup against that Texans defense, who rank 31st overall in rush DVOA. Wilson has only been there for a couple of games, and he's basically taken over as the RB1, but Mostert was still involved. Being that he won't be involved here this Sunday, I love Jeff Wilson. And it's a very similar situation here with Rachaad White. We kind of saw him take over as the RB1 in their last game, but Leonard Fournette was still involved. But being that Lenny is not expected to play here on Sunday, we should see Rachaad White play a bell cow role in this Buccaneers offense, and he's got a great matchup here to really make a name for himself against this Cleveland Browns defense, who rank dead last in the NFL in rush DVOA. Now, for those of you who have been watching my cash game videos here for a year or two now, you know I notoriously spend up at the running back position in my cash game lineup. But considering there is so much value here at this position this week, I don't feel the need to do that, and I know I've mentioned that twice already, but I wanted to reiterate it. But I also want to mention that I think Austin Eckler and Josh Jacobs are also viable in your cash lineups as well. I personally just prefer to spend up at the wide receiver position, and maybe even for Travis Kelce as well. Now, before we dive into the wide receivers here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Folks, we got about 2 months here left of the NFL season, including playoffs, and I'm going to have content coming out for you guys to close out this year. All right, now diving into these wide receivers here, and one guy I would absolutely pay up for this week is Davante Adams of the Las Vegas Raiders. This guy's been on a tear here, especially especially over the past 3 weeks, where he's put up 30 plus DraftKings points. This guy's got a massive ceiling and a safe floor, and his numbers have been great as well. A lot of volume going his way. You can see that in the notes off to the right-hand side. He leads the NFL in target share. He's 3rd in red zone targets, and he's 6th in air yards as well. This guy is still elite and one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Now, I'm almost positive I'm going to go with Davante Adams in my cash game lineup, but I really like DeAndre Hopkins as well. Honestly, it's probably going to come down to these 3 here. If you can see me highlighting that, it's Travis Kelce, Davante, and Hopkins. I'm going to try and get 2 of those guys in my lineup, considering there is so much value at the running back position. It allows us to do that. Hell, maybe I can fit all 3 of those guys in there if I really get creative with my lineup. But D-Hop has been good since he's returned from that suspension, where he's seen a 31.3% target share, 47% of the air yards on the Arizona Cardinals, and he's finished as a wide receiver number 1 now in 4 of 5 games since returning from that suspension. And then I got Terry McLaurin there, who's sitting at a nice price of $5,800 and has seen massive volume ever since Taylor Heineke took over at the quarterback position. You can see in the notes there off to the right-hand side, he's seen a 31.6% target share, 25% of the red zone targets, and 55% of the air yards. Just a ridiculous number there. And he's got a good matchup here this week against the Atlanta Falcons, who ranked 28th overall in pass DVOA. Now, I do have a few honorable mentions here as well. I like T. Higgins if Jamar Chase does not play this week. I like T. Higgins, honestly, either way, because I think Jamar could be limited after returning from injury. But obviously at $6,900, he would be a great value play, even at that price, if Jamar Chase is out. Zay Jones at $4,600, I don't mind that if you want to spend down. And Garrett Wilson at $4,300. Yes, Mike White is going to be starting here this week, but my guess is he's going to try and get the ball to his best wide receiver as much as possible, and that is Garrett Wilson. And then I got a few tight ends there for you. Talked about Travis Kelce already, but let's go through his numbers. He's seen a 25% target share this year, but considering that Juju, Hardman, and Tony are going to be missing this week, I think that probably creeps up closer to 30%, and he actually leads the entire NFL, both wide receivers and tight ends, in red zone targets with 21, which has led to him reeling in 11 touchdowns. Now, let's say I do spend up for Davante, D-Hop, maybe mix in Kenneth Walker, to where I do have to spend down at the tight end position. There are 2 guys on my radar who I think are nice value plays. Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams at $4,200, and David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns at $3,600. Both of these guys really do have nice matchups this week. Higbee going against the Chiefs, Njoku going against the Bucks, and both of those defense rank in the bottom 12 in PPR points allowed to tight ends this season. And then if you really want to save some money here at the tight end position, you could go with Pruitt of the Atlanta Falcons, but we all know what Kyle Pitts has done this year, and he's significantly more talented than Pruitt. But he's also the bare minimum here at $2,500. So if you want to punt, this play does make sense. I probably won't be going there myself, though. And then I got just one defense here this week. The Kansas City Chiefs defense. Not only do they rank as the number 1 value play at defense this week, they rank as having one of the best matchups here against the Los Angeles Rams, who are missing their best player in Cooper Kupp and have an offensive line that is very vulnerable. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play. I've talked about the Chiefs quite a bit here on this spreadsheet, but let's highlight one more player, and Sky Moore, their rookie wide receiver, who's sitting at the bare minimum price of $3,000. Again, this comes down to Juju, Hardman, and Tony being out this week. Moore essentially has to step in as wide receiver number 2 behind Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and he kind of had to do that last week where he had his best game of the season. He saw 6 targets in that game, had 5 catches, and turned that into 63 receiving yards, which ultimately led to 11.3 DraftKings points. That's almost 4x value at this price here of $3,000. And again, the Rams have really struggled in their secondary this year, ranking 26th overall in pass DVOA. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 12 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.